Hey all, and welcome to the ECM Podcast. I'm Friedrich Kunzmann, and I'm happy to be hosting this newest episode of the podcast and take you behind the scenes of new music on ECM Records. Today I'm joined by the Swiss pianist and composer Colin Vallon, whose new recording Samar features his working trio with Patrice Moret on bass and Julian Satorius on drums. Colin talks about his family tree, botanical inspirations, how he collects objects on travels, which he uses to make music, and much more. Welcome to the podcast, Colin. So nice you could join us.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Let's talk about the title of your new album, Samares. The word has guided you for the entire process of making this record, is what you told me last time, I think.
Exactly.
And it's a botanical term.
It is.
But maybe it has another meaning for you.
Yes, it's actually a botanical term. It refers to the Samares seeds, which are like winged seeds, like the maple tree seed that fly in the wind.
Yeah.
And so for me it was actually my son told me this because it's more specialized botanical term, so I didn't know about it. So he said that, and I found it a beautiful image, and also very I could relate to it, being a father for a few years only. So these wings, like it speaks to me as of transmission in a broad sense, in the sense of being a father, what you inherit from your past, what you want to give back, and also as an artist or a musician, spreading seeds and seeing if they come to fruition or not, and what it means to be a musician and what you want to give.
And when you think of these seed-like things, you think of them falling off of the trees and making like pirouettes. Is there the imagery of that? Was that inspiring for how the music unfolds on the record?
I guess so, yes. It's a poetic image. It's also kind of a nice picture of life. We kind of fall since we are born, and then we kind of pirouette, try to gracefully pirouette to the end. So it's a nice image, but I think also just like this dancing seeds, and in general, the forests. I grew up very near to a forest, and the trees were always something that's I could relate to, and a place where I would like to be in a forest. So all of this kind of was with me by writing the songs and the material for this album.
Yeah, and it kind of forms a trilogy with your other records. When you think about the dance that you called your last record, Danse, and the wind that you called the one before that, Le Vent.
Exactly.
There's a binding theme somehow.
Exactly. It was a bit of a pun to say, okay, these are seeds that dance in the wind, and it's dance and the wind, the last two albums.
Yeah.
So. And for me too, because the last two albums were with Patrice Moret and Julian Satorius. So for me, it's also kind of marks a trilogy for me, having the same group and developing this music together, and for me it has also some although the music evolved of course over the years, but it has some elements that binds the three albums together, I would say.
And like you just said, I mean, to pick up there, your last record with this trio came out in 2017. That was Danse.
Exactly.
And you were just talking about the changes that have occurred in the meantime, because there's some time has passed, and you were just talking about fatherhood maybe being something new coming into your life. And what kind of changes have occurred for you and your trio, and how have they had an impact on the music, in your opinion?
Well, I think it was a very dense period for everybody with the pandemics and such things. But I think as a trio, since almost 10 years, we have a residency in Thun, where we play twice a month in a completely acoustic setting. So it's also a field of exploration for us, where we develop some weird ideas and improvised concepts and stuff like that. And also blending of the sound occurs naturally because we only play acoustic in front of a small audience, and it's really helped to develop and found new ways of interacting and new ways of functioning as a band. So this is a huge part, I think, for how the trio sounds developed in the last years.
And you've been playing with Patrice Moret for on ECM from the beginning.
Exactly.
Does his approach to the bass also inform your compositions at this point? Is it like, do you always have him and his sound in the back of your mind? And does he even have a say? Does he even do you guys talk about different ways of organizing certain songs?
For sure. I think Patrice was always. We know each other since 25 years, and he's been in my trio since 20 years now. So he's a very long, a very old friend, and a long relationship. And actually, in the last 3 albums that we did for ECM, he also had compositions of his that were, the hits of the album sometimes. so he is always integrated in the music making process. For this last one, I really wanted to concentrate on my compositions, but I mean, it's a very democratical process anyway. When we rehearse together, and Patrice would be often bring some weird ideas that you first you think it's never going to work, but then you try it and it's exactly what it needs. So he's really for me essential in shaping the music of this album.
Okay,
he's a critical force behind the band sound, and not only in his arranging or some ideas that he brings, but also in the way he plays, because he's in a way very supportive and never in the foreground. Not never, but he's often not in the foreground, but he's always bringing like this immense weight and immense meaning behind every note that he plays, which conveys to the music.
With Sartorius, he's been part of your trio for 10 years now. You're basically celebrating your anniversary or marking your anniversary with this album. When you think about where you were at as a trio when making Le Vent and where you're at now, is there are there particular differences that come to mind for you where you feel like this has really evolved in a way that I didn't expect it would? Is there something that has really shifted?
I think so. I think playing with Julian is always a big pleasure, because he's such he's always surprising. He always has first of all a very different sound than anybody else, I think, on the drums, with a lot of different percussion elements that really are unique, and he always I think some common ground that we all three have is the idea of not having a typical trio in the jazz tradition sense, where it's solo and more focused on individual performances, with some people taking the lead at a different point in the songs, but more we are really trying to create one sound, one orchestral being, that's kind of all the sounds blend together, and also I use prepared piano techniques, and Julian's use I
definitely want to talk about those. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Julian also brings some weird percussion, and Patrice also some strange sounds. So sometimes we would be doing an collective improvisation with different textures, and you don't really know who's playing what. And this is something that really developed over the years, where the trio has become really one beast,
Yeah.
So this is something that's clearly to hear, I think, on this last album, especially also in the opening. Yes, I think Julian is also a very supportive player, but always he's always giving himself totally to the song, and it's not like I think nobody in the band would complain. Oh, I don't have a solo there. It's really like we in a way try to really support the song and play the song, and on the other way, just go wherever the improvisation leads us and wherever we need to be, and I think that's something we share and defines, I guess, the sound of the band.
Yeah, and you can really feel that how you've grown together on some of the songs that are maybe a bit more atmospheric, but they kind of build on the fact that you're really in a deep communication with each other, without the virtuoso solos sticking out. I assume that the specific material for this record came about in some of those bi-weekly gigs that you three have together. Is there something else that guided the process of creating this specific material? I mean, I'm thinking about the fact that, for instance, 2 of the songs are named after your children, and when were those written, for example?
Yeah, I guess it was kind of different for each song. Some of them I wrote, a few months before going to the studio, and some of them are pretty much older, like Étincelle, which is maybe from 2018 or something like that.
Okay.
So it was kind of a collection, but still it has some unity to it, I think. And also we recorded a bit more material that we needed, and then also with the work with Manfred was really interesting to choose. Okay, how do we create a story that makes sense, and that takes a listener to a journey through this, three images and stuff like that. So that was also a very interesting process to pick the songs that really blend well together. And otherwise, I also composed 2 songs for my kids over the last few years, and for me it was also kind of connecting to this thinking of a family tree and stuff like that. Exactly, and the transmission.
This may be a bit more of a personal question, but when I'm thinking about these 2 tunes that you wrote for your children, they're very different in temperament, kind of. One of them is more quiet, more relaxed maybe, or not relaxed, but more quiet, subtle. The other one has a driving pattern in it and something heavier going on. Would you say that's just by coincidence, or is that something that you did very consciously?
No, it was actually the song called Timo for my son. It was he did once some kind of a jam on a keyboard, and he did this bass line that is focused on that is featured on the song, the opening bass line, and I really liked it. So
he's the co-author.
He's a co-author of it. I basically ripped him off of this.
Good thing we left that out of the credits, huh?
Yeah. So I shamelessly. I asked him, of course, but I ripped off his bass line, and for me it was also connecting to his playfulness and playfulness and joy. So
yeah,
I for me it was a nice way to a nice tribute, I guess, and also a rip off.
Yeah.
and for my daughter it was kind of I wrote it when she was very little, so it was a bit of a different energy, but I guess I wouldn't say it reflects how they are as a person, because they are also very wild, both of them at times, and very sweet, both of them at times. So it was just different moments and different, relating to different moments of how they are.
All right. I assumed so much, yeah. You were just talking about the process of getting back to the material with Manfred Eicher in the studio and mixing the record. Can you how did that process happen this time, and how did it change the music in your mind?
We have been preparing for a long time, so we had a lot of material to record, which happened in a quite fluid process, you know, but with always questions and some hurdles sometimes on particular tunes that you eventually find solution for. And then the work with Manfred we mixed. I think it was in late May. It was really super fast. I remember arriving around 10. You were there too. And we were finished, I think, by 3 or 4. So it was super fast, the mixing process. Yeah, I think it's always a joy to work with him and see him doing his magic, you know, because you get the rough mixes and it sounds beautiful because it's an amazing sound engineer, an amazing studio. But then he comes in and does his tricks, his magic. I don't know what he does, and then suddenly the music kind of opens up, and you have this ECM, this amazing sound that's kind of one of the definitive trait of ECM, and he's responsible for that. How he shapes and how he orchestrates the music, how he kind of puts something more in the background, more in the foreground, and you have immediately a sense of space, and okay, the instruments are in the room with you. So it's always beautiful to witness that, and also his kind of childlike joy with when he's enthusiastic about something. This incredible guy that went through whole jazz history and classical music history of the 20th century, and then just seeing him having so much fun doing what he does is really inspiring, you know. And I guess we also the order of the tunes kind of came in a very organic way. So it was a very fast and interesting process.
Back to some of those piano techniques you were talking about earlier. You use some of them very subtle prepared piano techniques for songs like Ronce and Souche, which kind of modulate the piano's pitch, bringing like microtonal qualities into the sound.
Mm-hmm.
For the latter, for Souche, you said you'd wedged little wood blocks between the strings?
Exactly, yes. So I've been developing some preparation, you would say, piano preparation over the last 20 years maybe. So I've been in and out of do-it-yourself shop a lot, you know, buying some weird stuff, and that I have a full box of stuff that I will never use, and nobody will never use, because I tried a lot of different things. And when I'm traveling and I have to open my suitcase at the airport and people see all this weird stuff, they are kind of, okay, what is that? So it's always nice to say it's for playing piano.
Have you ever not been able to take it home with you at the airport?
Fortunately, I've always kind of...
You've been lucky, okay.
Yeah, get away with it. But yes, so I have a different... for me, I love the piano, but in a way, I'm inspired by so much different music, and it's always a bit... I guess frustration that every pianist shares, you know, not being able to hold a note, not being able to break from this from this, you know, tempered, well-tempered world. So and also my love for world music from around the world was kind of guiding me through this, and also electronic music, of course, guiding me through you know, the search of new sounds and the ways to bypass those limitations. So I have some wooden pieces that I kind of shape myself to get a quarter tone-ish effect, and I have some like bow-like things that I can, and some other stuff where I can create some hold notes on the piano. So for me it's still a quest, although it's sometimes you get in trouble with some promoters that don't want you to do that. But it has been a long journey for me.
And you do something interesting with a synth on Rons, right? There's but very subtly, you almost can't make it out. What is that happening there?
Exactly. Now I have a small synthesizer with an integrated speaker, so I don't really connect it to any form of amplification. So it sits in the piano and just comes out of this tiny speaker. So it's more for me in the preparation world, in the prepared piano world, than in the electronics world, because it's really acoustic in a way. But
so it's lying on top of the piano, and it's just the piano mics that are picking it up because it has integrated speakers. Okay.
Exactly. So it blends also much better to the acoustic sound, and I always use it in combination with the piano. So it's kind of interfering with the normal pitch of the piano.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess for me it's also interesting that of course I listen to a lot of electronic music, but people kind of come to me after concerts and say, it came all out of this tiny synthesizer. How is it possible? But actually, it's maybe just one sound I use on this synthesizer, and the rest is really acoustic. So it's also nice for me to get weird sounds that people cannot really. They kind of identify it as electronic sounds. Mm-hmm.
You're talking about all this electronic music and the other music from around the world that you're influenced by. Can you give me a couple of examples of what those influences may be that we also surely hear in the music on this trio record?
Of course, some names I've been saying for years that comes from my generation, like Radiohead and Björk. I kind of the tip of the iceberg, I would say. But lately, some different artists like Aya, which is a London-based electronic music producer, and she's doing really incredible stuff. So it's very inspiring to me. And otherwise, some world music. I have some Turkish roots from my grandmother, so I love Turkish music, but also I played with Elina Duni's bands for long years. So all the Balkan music was also big influence on me, and lately a lot of classical music as well, contemporary music, and always jazz, of course. So very broad influences. Maybe we have been talking about trees in a poetical manner and kind of relating to human life, but to me it's also, this idea of trees and also of legacies is kind of also a bit of it's very cheesy to say that, but an environmental manifesto as well. And maybe it's also very optimistic, but if it can, I guess the purpose of the music that I want to do is kind of awakening a sense of wonder and a sense of curiosity, because it's sometimes I want it to be somehow beautiful but weird at the same time, and leaving people with questions and a sense of what happened, so they can kind of bring this curiosity and sense of wonder outside, and maybe it help us as human beings with the crazy lives we live and the crazy society we live in, to connect with our sense of wonder and curiosity, and maybe connect more to the nature outside and maybe make it better in a way. So that's maybe the goal of maybe this album and the music I want to make in general.
Colin Vallon on his new trio record, Samar, out now on ECM Records. Thank you for joining me in the podcast. I'm Friedrich Kunzmann, and I'm looking forward to share more new music with you very soon.